Erin Leachy is clapping back at the haters. She says definitively, I know how to hold my baby.
I hope her child is thriving with a strong neck. She put it to the test. I saw, it's kind of old news, but she was making a TikTok where she was like making a martini in one hand and had her like newborn child on her other arm, and it was like cricked to the side, and everyone was like, ah!
Yeah, it was, you're right. It was April 4th. You're right. And, personally, I have moved on. I don't know how you feel. The world, I think, right, kind of has said goodbye to this story, right?
I saw some fun memes on Twitter, though. It'd be like, I don't know, I can't think of a good example, but it would be like an image of someone getting shaken up or like fighting for their life, and it would be like Erin Leachy's baby.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. But she said definitively, haters, get thee behind me. I know how to hold my baby. It looks much worse on camera than it did in real life. And I have to say, I'm giving a full-throated defense to Erin Leachy. Not if she was, well, obviously she wasn't, but not if the baby, was having a rough time, but which I know it wasn't. But every time I also include, I also have a baby, and if she's ever even in for 1 second, people say, what the fuck, put sunglasses on her, or what the fuck, you're wearing her too low, and you're that carrier, she needs to be higher up. So there's really, I don't think there's anything you could ever do, unless you have the coolest baby in the world. That
Four seasons, baby.
4 seasons, which I'm sure somebody was like, put a sweater on that baby that's in a diaper. You know what I mean? Like, there's just absolutely nothing I think you could post with a baby that's not going to get a clamoring of just, people trying to be helpful. And so I sensed a lot of helpfulness with people saying, Erin, why not cradle your baby's neck a little more upright? But she knows what was best. So anyway,
she has a whole brood.
Yeah, so Turtle Time has to just officially declare, like, that story's over.
We've closed the book.
That's our take. No one can talk about it anymore unless, Erin, you do something like that again, but I don't think you ever will. But anyway, that was the biggest news to me personally. But then second up, can I tell you what else sparked some sort of fervor within me today?
Sure.
So
unfortunately,
I heard this. I have a Google alert, and unfortunately, I found out that Brittany's Brittany's version that was going to be a response to Jax's Studio City. You know how Jax was built upon the side area of Rocco's. Brittany was going to have hers, sort of a almost a something about her-esque counter to Jax's at a Rocco's in West Hollywood. Unfortunately, Brittany had to hear through the grapevine. I mean, the grapevine doesn't even describe it. Zach Wickham had to tell her, hey, I just saw a tumbleweed blowing past Rocco's in West Hollywood and a huge sign saying sold. This is no longer Rocco's. And Brittany had to find out through that chain of events that she was no longer going to be able to have her version of Brits in West Hollywood. So you and I had a lot of plans.
They just sold the property?
They sold the property. They said that it was a ghost town after the fires. I don't know if they're just blaming it on it, but they said Rocco's became a ghost town. We couldn't sell a drink to save our lives, so we had to sell it. This shit. And and Brittany, unfortunately, was the last to know, and she said that she had bought chandeliers. She had or put in orders for chandeliers, for a wallpaper, for huge stepping stones that they were going to have leading up into the thing. So she had the worst day of her life having to cancel all of these orders. Yeah. And then I heard Rocco. He said, Brittany, no. He's like, I heard Rocco's kind of like a little bit of an unscrupulous person, but he was like, no, you can have a couple nights of Jax's. We'll call it Brits, and you can take over and have Brittany takeovers, and then you could be like, fuck Jax, like it's like
fuck
it's like
Jax
when
night.
it's like when Wario takes over for Mario. It's kind of like fuck him. I'm ruling over now. So she was allowed to have that, and she goes, I don't think I want to get into business with Jax at this point. So huge points to Brittany.
I don't even understand, what is the business arrangement? Like, wasn't it always the claim that they did it together and that she put so much work into it? So what happens now? Like, I assume she still profits off of Jax's because it was a partnership deal.
I hope so. I mean, in the divorce or whatever, I mean, she is definitely, if I was a divorce attorney, which I'm training to be one, I would say you both put in full effort to this property. And Brittany, she did that, remember the plant wall? We have it all evidence of everything
The
she
dead
did.
plant wall.
Well, she did a lot in the rotten hell and all that kind of stuff. Like, they were saying how this was truly Brittany's aesthetic that had taken over. So I'm sure there must be some way that Brittany gets some of that initial piece of Jax's for sure.
Yeah, we'll see if she looks for another location to do Brits, but that sounds like a lot of work because they had such a sweet deal with Rocco's. It was so turnkey.
Yeah, it was. It really was. I mean, it's like a moneymaker over there. It's basically printing money, I think, for Jax. But I was thinking for Brits, I think I'm kind of struck by the movie Grease, and I really was picturing an entire kind of Pink Ladies aesthetic over at Brits. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like those varsity jackets.
Beauty school dropout.
Beauty school. Rizzo, Frenchie. What are the couple of the other ones?
Marty, Jan.
Like, wouldn't it be so? I would love. I
Didn't
don't.
you bring up Pinky or Frenchie last week? Did you watch Grease recently?
No, not at all. I was just like, I kind of want to step into that world. If I'm going to an installation where it's like based off someone, I think it should have a little more of their aesthetic. We always said that Schwartz and Sandy's, like, it was kind of generic. It's like, what about this is you two? Besides like Mario Kart night and stuff. But
yeah.
With Brits, just imagining her kind of getting her Grease dream world.
Sunny, one of the T-Birds, the oldest one, like the one that looks like he's like 57 years old. He was Jimmy's high school drama teacher.
No way!
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. Was he nice?
No. He did not enjoy him.
Oh, I had such a hard time even knowing what acting was when I was younger. Him, was his name Kanicki?
Kanicki is the main guy. Sonny is played by Michael Tucci, Mr. Tucci. And there's also Duty and Putsy.
No, which is the one that we said, the drama teacher?
That's Sonny.
Oh, that's Sonny. Okay, he's the one who gets with Rizzo at the end, right?
No, that's Kanicki.
Oh.
There's a lot of old people in that movie.
Will you just tell me the name of the drama teacher so I can put a face to it?
It's Michael Tucci.
So this person, Michael Tucci. Oh, okay. So this was okay. Oh, this isn't the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Kanicki, the blonde one.
Okay.
That's amazing that Jimmy had him so he wasn't very nice though.
No, I don't think they liked him, but yeah, he was certainly not in high school. Neither was Stalker Channing at the time. I think she was like 35.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I noticed when I rewatched a couple of years ago, I noticed that they seemed slightly older than high schoolers. But anyway, Brittany, whatever you want to do, I think that'll be fun. I'm sorry that Rocco's pulled the rug out from under you, almost literally. And so, but you can do whatever you want, and I'm sure that you'll have some other opportunity to make Brits become a reality for sure.
Yeah. I was watching a video of Danny Pellegrino at Jax's, and he, same as me, did not think the Mama's beer cheese was up to snuff.
Oh, how did he articulate that?
He said it was bad.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. We got it on an off day, you and I, when we were celebrating one of the biggest wins in history. And then you and I went to Jax's, and then you illustrated what the Mima's beer cheese tasted like by just pulling the spoon up. And unfortunately, the Mima's beer cheese hat was pulled up along with it without any, just to illustrate how hard and not possibly edible that it was. But I'm sure that Mima had nothing to do with that. I think that they're pulling in a lot of subpar ingredients so that Rocco can take his cut of that cheese.
Yeah, it's probably from Trader Joe's, frankly, although I think theirs is better.
Yeah, I think so too. Was there any other news that you wanted to say that was kind of bubbling up for you before we get into talking about what we're going to talk about this week?
I'm trying to think of anything I've seen on like TikTok or whatever. I got a friend that they saw. Oh my God, Norman is trying to stop the record.
Norman?
A friend of mine texted me that Mauricio, as of earlier this morning, was on a flight to Nashville. They saw him.
Whoa.
That's not very exciting, but
First class?
Good question. I'm sure. I asked if he was with a lady. They said no.
Wow. Do you think he's trying to get to Nashville, the heart of country music, to have his own sort of fling in that world as a counter to Kyle?
Morgan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Did you see those? There were all those threads about like, what's your favorite Bravo conspiracy theory? What's your craziest Bravo scoop? I read like all of them, and for the most part, they weren't that exciting.
Yeah, no, I agree, and yeah, the only one that percolated a little more than I ever thought was that a lot of people still think that PK, went somewhere, kind of pulled a Fargo on Dorit, and he paid a bunch of British figures to come to the house and rob Dorit and his children at gunpoint, so that he could get insurance money for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one that said that they saw Kyle and Morgan on a hike in Studio City holding hands last summer.
Whoa.
Has 13,000 likes, that comment.
All right. Well, so these conspiracy theories are really starting to bubble up. We'll see which one of these come true. And also, Turtle Time wants to say congratulations to Paige DeSorbo for hitting it the big time jackpot gold by being featured in the New York Times as of Sunday, in a full profile of Paige, explaining to the New York Times readers what the hell is going on with Paige and how she's headlining this tour and her relationship with Craig and just all the shit that Paige is doing. It was like a full congratulations onto to the success of Paige, and I thought it was very fun to read.
Yeah, would they call her like the ultimate multi-hyphenate or something?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that just means like 3 or 4 different things that describe you, I guess.
Triple threat.
Yeah, triple threat. But I mean, that's as big as it gets. I mean, when I open up the Sunday newspaper and I'm about to sip a cup of coffee, and then I flip to the arts and leisure page and I see Paige DeSorbo, it's like it doesn't get bigger than that, in my opinion.
Somebody over there loves Summer House. Remember they gave West that profile?
Yeah, totally. It's like someone is trying to get the New York Times readers to understand the Bravo universe and, and take pleasure in these Bravo celebrities just like we do.
Yeah. But yeah, so this week we have the very last Southern Charm we're going to talk about for the season. And I feel like we should talk about what lies ahead, because I thought this was whatever. Yet again, there just wasn't that much to talk about overall. And then there's Atlanta, which is like hot news. I think that's why there's not that much news, is because everything I'm seeing is about that. What Kenya posted. She posted like a old school, almost like no hate campaign style image. It's definitely AI that she shared from someone where there's tape over her mouth and it's like free Kenya.
What is that in reference to, that tape mouth imagery?
Well, I think it's just in reference to her being like silenced,
Oh,
but
no,
it looks like the old school no hate campaign that all the Bravo people used to do.
Really?
You don't?
I don't remember that campaign. No.
No hate. NOH8.
And they all had tape over their mouths with that written on it?
Like every celebrity did it like 15 years ago.
And what? Oh, okay. Okay. And what was it? What, just no hate in general?
It's like for like LGBT.
Oh, okay.
But it's very funny. The images are always like ridiculous.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. I mean, the aftermath of Atlanta is, I mean, it's one of the wildest things I've ever seen in my life. So we can talk about that. But but did you want to say that we have what we have to look forward to in the future, because this week is such shit?
Go ahead.
Well, just that we have the Valley as a burning bright light in our life
sure.
coming up, next week. And then also the conclusion of Summer House. We know that that's going to start ripping. So don't get so sad about Turtle Time. You're like, what the fuck's going on? That news segment, what the hell? It was like basically there was no news. Don't get too upset because the Valley is a shining beam of light. Amy and I have both watched the premiere. We guarantee you, your heads.
Yeah, we have tape over our mouth until next week, the 15th, the embargo.
If you look at YouTube for 1 second as I started to talk about the Valley, tape just appeared on both of our mouths. But it's going to blow your mind. You're going to get that Vanderpump Rules beauty back in your lives when we talk about the Valley. But let's put the Southern Charm to pasture, shall we?
Yes.
You could tell. And I could tell that this thing was sputtering, and Andy was going, "Oh boy, what are we doing here?" He goes, "Taylor." At one point, he goes, "Taylor, you want to say anything about Gaston? You have any time you want." And Taylor goes, "I love Gaston, and I hold him near and dear." And Andy goes, "Okay, great." And then there was a full retrospective of Pat, which I kind of liked, but it was really like. It felt like they had nothing to talk about, even in the part 2 of the reunion.
Yeah, it was weird. They showed at one point like the casting tapes like they did on the Vanderpump Rules like end of the road, and I was like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, and then Andy was specifically saying like, when you're all invited back, what are we going to see next season? And I was kind of like, are you trying to what are you saying? Are we concluding this era? I think that 10 just meant so much to them, that beautiful number 10.
Yeah.
Like really a decade, or people love the number 10. So I think that they wanted to just have that and honor Patricia coming out. But I got to say, I was disappointed beyond belief. We'll get to it, but I can't not say it. But the lie, the bitch gate, calling Patricia a bitch, the only thing I really cared about, which was Paige or Craig getting kind of like called out for spreading a lie that affected the entire trajectory of the season. I didn't think that they handled it well at all. I think Andy at that point had drawn eyes on the back of his eyelids front of his eyelids, so that he could just pretend like he was awake, because he didn't think about it for 1 second. He just let Craig say, even though I lied about the bitch thing, wasn't what he said actually so much worse? And Andy just was like, yeah, I think so too. And then made them move on. I couldn't believe it. So that was a bummer for me.
Sucked. Vanita's receipts sucked as expected.
It was a full flop. I came back. When she came back, I was like, I don't even remember. What is it? October 28th, October 29th. You said it was 1 week. I did text you, but then I called you. But then she says he didn't call, and it's like no one cares enough. Andy really did not care about that at all. He didn't want to get to the bottom of it for a second.
Yeah. They kind of break the fourth wall in that they say that they communicated right after the trailer dropped, because there was, some clarity needed after that. And so, it was them parsing out if she did in fact ghost him or not. The drama about that he posted his girlfriend on Instagram. But then after all of it, Andy goes, "Do you still want to be friends with him?" She goes, "Yeah." And then he goes, "Do you still want to date him?" And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, what? I'm like, you would have to waterboard that out of me. Like, that's so embarrassing.
I thought it was so cute.
He's literally with someone else. Like, he is like dragging you along. Like, what is happening?
I thought it was so cute because it's a testament to how much Vanita loves JT. And I love how much she loves JT. And I think JT, eventually once he gets done with this relationship that he already soiled completely, he will want to be with Vanita, his true love. So I thought, I was stunned like you were. I was shocked that Vanita admitted it, but I found it to be very romantic and sweet. That she goes, yeah, I'd still date him. And then it's like, I don't know. I've just always been shipping Vanita and JT the entire season. So it's so funny after all of that, when she even ran to get receipts to prove him wrong, that she still said, there is just something about JT
even
that
though
I need a piece of.
We never consummated our relationship in an entire month.
Yeah. I'm excited. I mean, you think JT's coming back, right?
Good luck with that.
You don't think JT's coming back?
Why would they have him back?
He needs to. Everyone needs to.
Norman sneezed at the thought.
Really? He was expressing his What's that? Disapproval of the possibility?
Ire.
Ire at the possibility. I think no. I think that this cast needs to be in a post-truth, or not post-truth, post Craig revelation that Craig lied about that thing, that only JT's.
You're really hanging on that they're ever going to have justice about that.
I know I am, but I want JT to get one more season. JT, I mean, say what you will about him, but the top 3 on the bulletin board of what happened in season 10 of Southern Charm, it was on the third item was JT centric. He had tendrils in every facet of this season. Would you really why would you fire him? Why would you keep Leva's already gone? But Rodrigo, I have to say it now, this is the meanest thing I'll say all turtle time. Rodrigo said, I counted 6 words in this 2-part reunion.
Yeah.
6 words. No drama came to Rodrigo. No drama came from Rodrigo, and he said 6 words the entire time. Why would you ever, if you're a producer, Whitney, you're in a boardroom together, why in the world would you ever say, let's keep Rodrigo and Taylor and fire JT? Ever. In a million years.
Yeah.
Who has created 10 times more conflict and entertainment?
Yeah, it is crazy that he got a seat on the couch when it was totally unnecessary, but it is clear that he's actually friends with everyone. Like, they allude to him and Austin hanging out all the time. I think him and Taylor are really close. But yeah, outside of a supporting role, it's really not necessary.
I mean, giving him the bit. I know. I don't want to get too mean. I love him as a person, obviously, and that thing he said about the person's feet on the flight, I'll never forget it. One of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. But unfortunately, this is not a place where we just value people who have true great friendships if they bring absolutely nothing else. I mean, isn't it just the most damning thing in the world to go through a reunion and not have absolutely anything to talk about for 1 second?
Yeah. Were you enraged when more people than I thought would raised? Oh, now Archie has thoughts.
He really does. He's pissed as hell.
He's pissed that Craig, Madison, Sally, and Austin raised their hands that JT called Miss Pat a bitch.
Yeah, that was awful. I couldn't believe it. It was only JT's strongest, and I'm sorry, Archie, he has this thing with JT where he loves him so much, so he gets pissed off. I think you know how dogs respond to what their owners are doing. They just had to. They're JT's biggest haters, so they knew that they had to rally around Craig to pretend this lie has happened. When even Austin, he waited like 3 minutes to see who else raised their hands against JT before he put his up. I thought that was shameful. To be honest. So I'm glad you got me pissed off. That was shameful that they all pretended like he said that when they know that there was no evidence of it. And even Craig admits after he says, even if I didn't specifically say that, wasn't everything else, didn't it justify me saying that by all the other crazy shit he said?
Yeah, I know. It got so muddled. Like, Shep was like 90% of what he said was spot on. That's the only thing that I don't recall. And it's like, what else do you mean? Like, what?
Yeah, really. And they put some never before seen stuff where it kind of made JT look more unhinged, in addition to his like conspiracy theory about the polka dots and stuff. Like, all that stuff was bad. I agree. But just because he's going off the deep end with a bunch of conspiracy theories doesn't mean you get to say that he called a cast member a bitch. In my opinion. But so I didn't like, how any of that was handled. And I felt like Craig got away, scot-free with the biggest scandal of the season for me.
Yeah. Andy was like, I know you said that you never lied on Watch What Happens Live. You never lie in general, but I do want to show you again the montage of you lying. And they show all the old clips of him about law school and all of that. And he says again, he's like, I'll defend all of it. And he goes, I did mail in my bar application, but it was rejected because I hadn't finished one paper. I walked at graduation, but I didn't get the certificate because I was missing one credit. And he's like, okay, so you did lie about graduating. He goes, define graduating. And I'm like, that's the definition of graduating, is that you complete what is necessary.
Yeah, I know. It's like he's like in a total like white lie. I've said it before. Like what Pinocchio would try to get away with, and it would still cause your nose to grow. Yeah, define graduating, meaning he's saying that like he walked. So technically, you could consider it. He was part of the graduation ceremony. But why does he want to? Why does he want to get off on technicalities like that?
Right.
Doesn't it still stand that you could say that he's an embellisher / liar? I liked when JT said, "You're the handsome boy who cried wolf." He tried to make a little bit of a moment happen. He said it twice because I think Andy didn't hear him the first time. And he goes, "No, wait. Everybody, be quiet. You're the handsome boy that cried wolf." And I don't know if that's going to catch on.
He's
see it.
Doesn't that paint a picture?
It was trending. I saw it was trending a little bit on social media for a few hours. Handsome boy who cried wolf. But I think it kind of, much like the Aaron Leachy story, it's simmered down about for the last over the last 3 days.
Usership must be really down on Twitter these days if that trended. And then Shep is like, Craig, like, it's okay if you just admit that you were a liar. Like, you were on Adderall, you were fallible. Just be like,
Yeah, he said you were ripping lines of Adderall. In between all of these scenes, you were going into a bathroom and huffing Adderall. Why can't you just say that that's what caused you to lie your ass off? But Craig is a little bit, I'll say this, that a little bit of that mini Jax thing that we were talking about on Patreon, where he got into the I have never told a lie, George Washington, or I've never been wrong about anything, that high moral ground that Jax started to say. Craig has a little bit of that, and they comment on it a lot. I'm not 100%.
Is so what's the easier or shorter way to say dish it but can't take it?
Oh yeah. What is? Let's think about that for a second. What do you call someone?
He's so sensitive. Like anytime they came after him in this episode, he was about to get pissed, and he was being such a baby about it, and he was pissing me off. We'll talk about it later, but like he also has to admit that he was embellishing about Austin's state of being, and like on national television saying that he was showing up to work zannied out and hungover and shit. And I'm like, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Austin, we'll say it again. We'll say it at the time, but Austin goes, "I do not have a problem with Xanax officially." And calling him zannied out, you picture him. I don't want to say anybody who is zannied out, like to offend them or whatever, but it made me think that his eyes were rolling back in his head.
He's just nodding off during the podcast, like Jesus Christ.
Yes. So they have to get to the bottom of that eventually, and then this is the Southern Charm retrospective. So JT and Vanita first, they're doing fine off camera. Vanita goes, "Can I get you a sugar-laden drink where it has half sugar, half tequila or something?" And
she's trying to kill her diabetic crush with
he
toast.
Goes, "I'll drink this, but are you trying to kill me?" And she goes, "No, not at all." And you could tell
she's like obsessed with him.
Isn't it cute?
She's like, "Hey, like, let's make up. I brought you a drink," even though she's like, the second that we stopped talking, he posted Instagram official with his girlfriend.
And I don't give advice very much on Turtle Time, but JT, break up with your current girlfriend and start dating Vanita.
For the sake of the show.
Yes, and then Patricia comes out now, and it is the first, and then she says last time she will ever be here. Andy's been trying to get Miss Pat to be here forever, the entire time. She finally decided to come to honor this beautiful 10 years of Southern Charm, and then they get into the legacy of Southern Charm and how it all started. That's when you get those clips where Whitney's going, he's kind of like, I was just watching season 1 of Southern Charm, so this struck me deeply. He was like, "My friend Shep is brilliant. Look at him. He's like one of the smartest people in the world. Craig is my new friend. He's kind of like an up-and-comer, fiery little stinker." And then they show Craig, and then Pat. And then Pat gets interviewed too, and Michael serves her a cocktail. And Patricia talks about these boys that are running around Southern Charm, sort of like Peter Pan-esque figures that are dating and having trouble. And so it's kind of nice to get a little peek back into that.
Yeah.
The early days.
Shep was quite candid in his audition clip. He goes, "I do commercial real estate, but I don't really do shit." And then Craig, his quote is that his wife isn't born yet, which was interesting.
Yeah, he goes.
So
He
she'll
said,
be. They were saying she's in middle school currently, if that was true.
yeah, he said, I like to say, I always say that my wife hasn't been born yet, meaning that, yeah, he really wants to be with someone much, much younger than him. At that, and he does say eventually, he says, I don't know that person that would say anything like that.
Yeah, and Shep is at the time of the beginning of the show, he said that he's not entered the window yet for wanting a family, and he said probably that window is coming soon, but it'll close in about 10 to 15 years, and so they were saying it had been like 13 years or something, so he's like right in the middle.
So that means that he said a window closing, so it meant that like in 3 years potentially
It's over.
Wow, that's what he meant. Like, I'm not going to have a family.
Well, I'm sure he will. He'll probably do it at like 50.
I think so too. I agree. Pat didn't want to be a part of the show. She goes, that was the last thing in my mind. I wanted to eat bonbons on a big Chase lounge and have Michael serve me cocktails. These were supposed to be my golden years, but then Bravo people kept whispering in her ear saying, just come back for, another minute. And then Whitney goes, Mom, come on camera for 5 more minutes. And then Andy says, I was in the Bravo control room searching through the footage, wanting more and more Miss Pat in here. So it kind of shows that she was a fan favorite and a Bravo favorite early into the run.
Yeah, they were also saying that the entire town hated the show for a long time, and they would call it Charmageddon. But now, of course, all of the tours and everything in Charleston include Patricia's house. It's sort of a landmark, which I'm still dying to go. And then Pat talks a little more about how she, at this point, has known Madison for 18 years. And then she also said that she got a lot of grief for saying that Paige was mean to Craig, but she stands by that.
Yeah. She said, "Hey, I that's what I think." She also said that both Shep and Craig, or I think they put it on themselves, that they both tried to hook up with Madison early when Madison would be brought to parties by Miss Patricia, that they both tried to have their shot with Madison. And I guess, I don't think it either worked out potentially, but that was interesting, and an interesting anecdote to learn.
Yeah. I felt bad for Molly, because her edit was kind of just about like her like body issues, and then like they clarified that Whitney apologized for the cupcake thing, and she's just like, I'm open about my weight struggles. Like, I was like, why is this your storyline? Like, you look great. Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't understand. They shouted out Brian Moylan for calling her a tuba goddess. Shep says playing an instrument is sexy, but that's pretty much it. They were like, anyways. And then Sally, we got a little clarification about that she works in guided surgery. She puts screws in people's spine. I got my hair done the other day, and I was talking to my hair person about Southern Charm, and she was like, isn't Sally like a doctor? And I was like, I don't think she's a doctor, but she like works in surgery. So I'm still not totally clear on what level of education she has, but like, she's not like, she didn't go to like medical school.
No, I don't think so. So no, but then she does know this machine inside and out that is putting those screws, when that little robot hand comes down.
Well, I would have to assume you need some level of medical training, like certification, to even be in the room for that.
Yeah, I agree. And we have to retract what we said, because we said you and I could do this with our eyes closed. All you have to do is say, robot, continue the surgery, or take that screw out, put that screw in. We kind of were belittling to that profession. And I have to say, when I saw the clips of it, it looked much more involved than even I could be ready to do. I would probably take months of training to get to that level. What about you?
Well, I have been watching The Pit, so I feel very inclined to like have medical opinions.
Yeah.
So,
but it was
now
a
more
class.
Than ever.
Yeah, me too. And I'm one of those people who, like, if I see it, I think I can do it. Obviously once I saw the clips of what Sally could do, I was kind of like, oh, I could definitely learn this, but it's just going to take me a little bit more time than I originally thought. So that was interesting. And then also Sally, they kind of want to kick up this Taylor and Sally shit that I didn't really find to have much merit. It was really like, I think producers and stuff were scrambling. Like, okay, the Molly segment ended too quickly. The tuba comment, like that didn't go anywhere. Let's get some Taylor and Sally shit in here.
Yeah.
Sally does say that she stopped dating that wonderful guy, Andrew, that you and I really took a spark to. You and I we were kind of pinning a lot of hopes on Andrew when we saw him. I was like, who's this guy? I was like, cast member. This guy has a lot of interesting stuff about him. But Sally unfortunately concurred with Taylor that Andrew was very weird. So it's kind of funny that he had such a prominence this season and was Sally's boyfriend. And she just declared at the end of him, that guy sucked.
Yeah. It was also kind of scary for a moment when they ask about if Taylor's family actually said they wanted her and Shep to get back together. And Shep brought up that was uttered at her brother's funeral by her grandpa, which she kind of muttered to Rodrigo that she doesn't think he would ever say that. And I'm like, that would be bold as hell if Shep just made up something her grandpa said at a funeral. Oh yeah,
I mean, no offense to Taylor, and I know it's not fun to think about, but absolutely that granddad said that. Unfortunately, at the funeral, he said Shep.
He was trying to get shit poppin'.
I think so. It's almost it's just something nice you say, you know, like if you see an ex and you remember because you went to a couple dinners or they came to visit your house or whatever. Even the granddad probably doesn't know Gaston too well. I have to just say. So when you see Shep, you're like, oh, I was really rooting for you. You were such a charming, wonderful young man. It doesn't mean that much, you know. I think Shep
invite the grandpa out to sit down.
Who, Shep?
The grandpa. Bring him out.
Oh, of course. He should have to clarify
yourself.
He should have to clarify what he said because Taylor obviously doesn't believe her that Shep said it. I think
he's a fucking liar.
Yeah. And then Taylor says, you leveraged my fractured relationship with these girls.
The way I was like,
me too. I hit a snooze too. I was
like, next.
I hit the snooze button too. I also like that they clarified how you say Gaston instead. In the edit, they still include everyone trying their different iteration. It's Gaston. They already clarified.
Andy really like puts his mouth around it when he says it. Like he's always like
Gaston.
Gaston.
Yeah, and then
but she says she's hoping to get married this year.
Taylor.
Oh no.
Taylor, take it from Turtle Time. This is the episode where we offer advice. Wait a little bit. I still think you're healing from your relationship with Shep. I noticed that I think that there's still some pain there, and I don't know truly after hearing about Gaston's exploits around town in Southern Charm that this might be the best. At least wait a little bit more and see more of your lives with each other before. But don't listen to me.
Did you see? Is this old news? I either forgot or didn't realize. Like Olivia's like completely already married.
I know. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I knew that she actually got married.
I saw some photos on Instagram, like Discover. Like I was like, that already happened. Like, all right. Like she pulled it together quick.
I gotta research more. I mean, we didn't talk about Olivia maybe only like 5 or 6 times this season, but who knows what would have happened if Olivia was this season. I mean, now the worst thing that can happen is a Bravo celebrity leaves, and then the next season is pure dynamite, and then you're like, shit. Was I the hindrance? But unfortunately, Olivia gets the exact opposite. She left. Season 9 was rip-roaring, and then she gets the doldrums of Season 10 in her aftermath. Now she can be like, well, fuck you guys. This show got worse without me.
Totally. Okay, then we get back to Craig breakup shit. He said that part of his journey of, getting sober or sober-ish was that he needed to isolate. So he liked having someone at home to like be a homebody with. He was saying that there were signs, but he was trying not to react to them. Like she stopped visiting him in Charleston, like they were seeing each other less. And he was trying to tell himself that it wasn't a a problem, but he probably on some level knew that it was.
He said that Panera New Era campaign that you and I have referenced before was the last time she ever did a integrated collaborative brand partnership together, was the Panera New Era, and she didn't even go to Sewing Down South when it opened in Nashville, which was should have been a huge red stop sign for him.
I wish that their engagement shoot was the Panera, like it was combined, and like the ring was like in a chowder bowl.
I mean, you just said quite possibly the best collaborative brand partnership I could ever imagine. Paige, drink your clam chowder. Wait, be careful though. Use this spoon.
She takes the little sourdough lid off, and she's like, "Oh my God."
It's there. Bubbling.
Honestly, well, I don't even want to get married, but Jimmy, if you're listening, that's what I want.
hey, let's he doesn't have to listen. Let's just make this a clip, and maybe it'll get on his radar. Oh my God, it kind of is. It's just so beautiful. Imagine that. Sorry, you said it, but that sourdough thing. You obviously do the thing where you cut out the top, you pull that open, and then just right on a piece of chowder within it.
It's like little carrots and like bacon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can imagine though, I guess that Paige possibly, I don't know if she would have responded well to that. But then Andy goes, Craig, tell me about the ring, please. We all want to know. And Craig's got his facts in order. He goes, It's a 4-carat elongated cushion cut with a 0.5 carat around the band. And everybody goes, oh my God. Like in ring speak, what that means, right?
Pretty penny.
Yes. It was huge, and then he said she told him, at some point I guess she made it known that he should maybe start shopping for a ring, but then she said wait to do something until she's announced a business. What was that part?
I didn't know what that meant. Like what announcement was it that she needed to make or he needed to make? I wasn't sure about that. I didn't really get it.
Wait until, and it wasn't. It wasn't the Panera Bread campaign because that had already happened before.
Sprit Society.
She told him she wanted to wait to announce a business. And the new era for Panera was 6 months before. And then, maybe Sprit Society.
Are they going to do something together maybe? I don't know. But he did say that in retrospect, it didn't feel right. Like there was something off about it. Even though he was trying to charge ahead.
Yeah.
He said that he's going to return it to the jeweler, which I'm like, how does that work if he said before that he designed it. So I wonder if he's going to like lose money on that or if, I don't know.
I think it's such a personal business with all of my jewelry purchases. I have a connection to a person.
Kyle Chan.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say specifically, but when I work with this person, when we go to San Francisco or when I go to this, he's opened this amazing bar. This amazing bar is sort of whiskey centered. But when I go to that person, it's a personal relationship. So he says, I can sell this to I can sell this to, you know what I mean? They kind of have connections to other people. And he could be like, if there was like another person that's sort of in the same stratosphere, it'd be like, they might want this ring.
Yeah. I wonder if there's if anyone has ever designed a ring themselves. I mean, once it's created, I wonder if there's a fee to have it designed because that takes time to work on, but then it's just the value is the value of the materials and everything. But I wonder if he lost some cash on the idea that it was custom, but then they took it back at the value of the gold and the diamonds.
Yeah. Because I'm sure the diamond, I've been looking at the diamond market and
what's going on with that right now?
No, it's good. It's good. I think
holding strong.
People are wanting to have just a big
and gold.
Gold too.
I have gold bars under my bed.
You do, yeah, me too. And I'm sort of a diamond hoarder guy, and I think people are starting to really like these tangible, precious metals. So he says, and I
say for the apocalypse, you want little gold coins, you want cigarettes, you want stuff that you could trade.
I'm gonna write poetry. I already told you that. In an apocalyptic scenario, I become a bard. If AI is gone and there's no internet or whatever, I want to be the storyteller that walks around town. I want to be the person who gives all the gossip to everyone and also does poetry.
The town crier.
town crier has me written all over it. I want to be a jack of all trades, sort of a singing, traveling bard. And if I ever
can picture the little shoes with like the like curly Q.
Don't you kind of want it?
Did you watch Station 11?
No. I it's on the docket for me, but no,
There's
I never did.
like a post-apocalyptic theater troupe.
Oh.
So you should watch it for that. But yeah, maybe we could like do the podcast retrograde where like we go from place to place searching for like water and like veggies, and we go, remember the episode Scary Island, and we just like talk through it, and then every night they have to come back and we'll tell them more.
Yeah, yes. Just like that, for sure. We build upon the oral history or whatever, sort of like Homer's Odyssey. But also, in addition, we could have a little scribbler that follows
Not
us.
a scribbler.
Wait, what's a scribbler again?
I don't think that's a thing. I pictured like a little Dobby freak like following us around like with like a papyrus scroll.
No, one that scribblers. My wife's a banker, but I'm just a
one
scribbler.
That scribblers?
No, so you and I would have a scribbler that joins us, and as we tell the oral tales of Turtle Time, they would be writing it down, and then that would be passed through town. So that's how Turtle Time exists.
Share our goods with them.
Oh, of course. I mean, the scribbler's getting a little cut of whatever food we get.
I like this. We actually, it's becoming more and more likely that we'll have to do this sooner rather than later. So let's talk about it.
I mean, it's good to have these sort of backup plans.
Did you see that Warner Brothers said that Homer would be proud of how the Odyssey is turning out?
I did see that. What were people?
Is Homer real?
Well, I think that they think that Homer, unfortunately, was what's the right word?
Like an amalgamation?
An amalgamation, a conflagration of a bunch of different bards that were sort of weaving this tale all together, and Homer gets all the credit. But I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to check on that. I don't want to spend any more time Googling because I just Googled scribbler. But I will Google Homer after this, and we'll get to the bottom of it. But I thought that was kind of funny to say that.
Yeah.
Homer would be proud. Like, that's, like, who would have ever thought anyone would say that in the entertainment industry?
I hope there's like a Bill and Ted situation where he gets to go see it.
Oh, Homer?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so too. Oh my God. Could you imagine? He'd be like, holy shit. He'd be like, Christopher Nolan. First of all, he'd probably be astounded by absolutely everything about modern life. But then in addition
the popcorn would send him into cardiac arrest.
Yeah, but then in addition to that, imagine him just sitting down to watch that movie too.
Diet Coke. He'd be like, hell yeah.
Oh my God. I can't even, don't even get me started. What would
put his little sandals up in the recliner at AMC?
He'd be like, oh, yeah, I mean, get him in an Alamo Draft House. Oh, sorry, you said AMC. I only think about Alamo, but any of these conventional modern theaters, he'd probably be floored by it, right?
Yeah. He'd be like, wine, I've had this. This is good. Toilets even. He'd be like, what was his era? He was pre-Roman, right?
He was early ancient.
Because Romans
BC.
had some toilets.
You know, we would finally get Romans totally had toilets. I was going to say that we'd finally get that reaction. You know, when people at Gower Gulch, when they saw the train rustling through, we'd finally get to see a real-time reaction to Homer seeing something on screen, and we would get to laugh and see if he runs away screaming because
if you saw it in IMAX and they did that thing where it counts down from 10 in the crystal clear like vision, he would scream.
Oh my God. I mean, that would be blowing him away. And they like, I don't want to keep belaboring this, but imagine he gets out of the theater and then that was astounding. Then he's in modern life. Like that.
He's at like BJ's or like a Yard House and he's like, holy shit.
It doesn't stop there. He's going to be every day. He's going to be thinking something is pretty extraordinary. Anyway, so then, then they talk about the cheating. They go. Come on, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, with Paige going on these multiple possible dates with Joe D'Amelio. Come on, if it walks like a duck, and Austin goes, come on, we were all just saying what we thought Craig was thinking, and then Shep goes, I think if it walks like a duck.
What about you, Andy?
Yeah, what about you?
Do you think it quacks like a duck? And he goes, that's an HR issue.
Yeah, and I've never heard him get out of a question saying that before. Because is it truly to speculate on what he thinks if someone... I think
he didn't want to take sides.
I thought that was a great way to get out of it. Everyone laughs. That was pretty funny.
Also, Craig apparently unfollowed Kyle and Amanda.
Sad.
Paige won't answer him back. He's like blocked, I guess.
I thought that was sad too. Do you think the one misstep was the one misstep that Craig made, not pulling the wolves off the wall to come for Paige when she was spotted once with Joe D'Amelio? Was that what Paige wanted? Just a full declaration that there was no, what's that called when you blur the timelines, that there was no messy timeline here. And Craig didn't do that. And then it went to a back and forth scorched earth philosophy about how they deal with each other. Not scorched earth, but just tit for tat, defining the relationship in their own terms. I think that was the one thing that he probably should have done to not get to this place. Because I really did feel bad for Craig that when he said Paige no longer will talk to me anymore, not even send text messages. That's a really sad end result for someone that you spent 3 years with 6 months after the fact, after you've broken up. That is a really sad thing, no matter who you are.
Yeah. That seems to be a heated thing online, like, of if he owed her that or not. I just think it's, like, weird that it was so easy to do. Like, he could have just been like, I don't think she did that. And that's, like, all he had to say.
Yeah, and I guess the only excuse on his end you could say is that he might have just thought, I don't know. You know, I read those messages that people keep pointing to, and I saw them at that game in Miami or whatever the hell it was, and I was bummed out, you know? Like,
yeah.
But still.
Like, him refusing added, it wasn't just neutral, like, he won't defend her. It was like it added fuel to the fire that since he had doubts that that it was true. So he could have just been like, I don't think she did that. Like, I obviously don't know everything, but I don't think so.
He should have been, my heart is broken and I'm a complete mess. I can't even think about that right now.
Yeah. But yeah, he said that he thinks he was in love with the potential of what they could be, because he was like, I spent a lot of time alone. Like, it honestly wasn't ideal. The future probably will be better. But when I was in the thick of it, I wanted to have rose-colored glasses, basically.
Yeah, he's really sad at one point. He like starts talking and he just cuts himself off, and I was like, I thought he was possibly going to get slightly teary-eyed, and he didn't want to talk about the future anymore. They kind of just let him like not have to talk about it anymore. You could tell he was still reeling from it.
Yeah. And then they sort of get into his like relationship with the guys, and this is where it turns out we saw this preview, but Andy asks if Austin is scared of Craig, and he's like, hell yeah. Like, I'm always afraid that I'm going to say the wrong thing and get my head bitten off. And basically everyone agrees that they're scared of Craig. He said he's working on his temper, and then everyone sort of is chiming in about his problems, and he goes, all right, you guys don't need to rub it in. He's getting like so pissed off.
Yeah. Rodrigo said, he goes, I was scared of Craig in the Bahamas. And then they showed the clip and it was Craig being like, you flamed us to JT. And I was like, was Rodrigo scared about anything else, or it was just his overall behavior? He was like kind of screaming at everybody. It's definitely shocking, because I always think about when an entire cast rallies around something, because usually that means it's true. We're the audience. We don't truly know, but they all agree that Craig's temper scares the shit out of them. They all said it. Shep even. And then I told you, Shep said it earlier in the season, and I was like, what the hell is Shep talking about? And now they all concur. Craig scares them with that temper.
Yeah, it just seems like he gets so unpleasant, and like they always show that clip of them at the airport in wherever they are, like Nashville or whatever, Chelsea, where he yells at Chelsea, because she's like, are you drunk?
He has a superiority complex, I think.
Yeah, and he just gets petulant really quickly, and you're like, if I were in a situation with him where he started acting like that, I'd be like, goodbye. Like, I do not wish to go back and forth with you. You're fucking annoying.
He's pretty intolerable in the first season of Southern Charm, too. I think you remember it more than I did, but he kind of has this very weird moral code that is actually an awful, abhorrent moral code that he's trying to make everybody adhere to for the first season. And it's like, you look deranged for making everyone. And now I feel like his moral code has shifted to be more tolerant or whatever, but still he makes decisions here that blow everybody's minds. I mean, Vanita at one point chastises him, being like, "What the fuck is going on with you?
I know."
So we'll talk about that.
He's kind of just like a weird guy in general. Like he's kind of like hard to figure out, which is why I always thought it was interesting that the public opinion became so simplified and like purely positive, because I'm like, no, he's like an oddball. he's hot, don't get me wrong, he's like a beautiful person, but like he's strange. He has like a lot going on. Like he's like into weird conspiracy theories that we always joke about, the panda of it all, and like the the kooky ones, but I'm like, I don't really want to know what other shit he's talking about behind closed doors. Like I'm sure it gets into some like seedy territories.
Yeah, there was one he unleashes actually in Southern Charm that I'm not even going to bring up. I don't want to get demonetized on YouTube, but he does bring up a couple that are not fun to get through. But I agree. I think that overall Craig does get a victorious edit on Southern Charm. He does get a hero storyline in a way, because he was discounted. He was called lame. He had the Naomi thing saying, "Stop what you're doing. Those pillows are pure shit." So he gets this overall arc, and the Sewing Down South thing is obviously a victory lap, but still it doesn't negate those kind of the moments that you and I always refer to that make this more of a rockier road to the hero that I think he sees in himself now.
Yeah, and this is where he clarifies that Austin doesn't have a drinking problem. He says he was wrong for saying that he came to the podcast zannied out, and Andy's like, yeah, like why did you say that? Like what's going on with that? And he goes, for some reason, seeing Austin drink just makes me mad.
I thought that was maybe the most shocking revelation that I heard this reunion. What the hell was he talking about? Does he think that does he think because he can't drink and he's trying to better himself, that it makes him pissed off when someone is able to have a relationship with alcohol like Austin does, and that pisses him off? Or does he think that Austin is not showing a certain side? Or
like he's getting away with something, like, because I'm sure that Austin is in that nebulous place of like, he probably does have a little bit of an unhealthy relationship to alcohol at times. Like they all partying in general, if partying's a big part of your life, is always something that you have to like question of like where you're at with it. But it sounds like Austin generally has a hold on it and it is okay. And I think Craig is probably like, fuck you.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I mean, after seeing now Shep and Craig over these current seasons, I'm like, I think Austin has a pretty healthy balance in his life, it seems. I also like the moment where Austin said, if I post the photos of me getting mimosas with Audrey, Craig will message me and be like, someone's in their party era. Could you imagine if you were out?
Annoying.
Could you imagine if I like you posted a photo of you with a white wine out, and I go, someone's in their party era ...
Drunk bitch.
Yeah. It's like the most like innocent thing you've ever done in your life. I'm having a margarita on a Friday night, and it's like, whoa, someone's in their party era. Like, what would you say to that?
That's so annoying. And then Austin is like, like I feel like you're judging me from an ivory tower. And Craig is like, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. When you talk like this, it makes me not want to hang out with you.
He's like, I'm done. If you think of me like that, then I never want to see you again in my life. And then that's when Vanita goes, oh my God. She goes, you just said that to your best friend that is trying to open up his heart to you. That is so rude. And I was like, damn, Vanita is 100% right. What a mean thing. Could you imagine if you were telling your friend some deep thing that you feel about how they treat you like absolute shit? And they go, well, fine, I don't want to see you ever again then because you feel that way.
That's what he was saying the whole season. Like every time Austin would try and convey any like heartbreak about the way their friendship was going, he's like, then you shouldn't be friends with me. And he says here, he goes, if you think that I think I'm better than you, then you shouldn't hang out with me. And then he goes, I can't control how you perceive my actions. And Shep is like, that's giving classic gaslighting, just like no accountability whatsoever.
Yeah, it's very it's very rigid thinking, very black and white thinking. It's not good. It's like that kind of thinking throughout your entire life will leave you ending up like Daniel Plainview in There'll Be Blood, just completely alone with yourself with no friends. Like why? I don't know why he wants to have that strict moral code or whatever with everybody.
Was it Leva or Vanita that said that he has an addictive personality?
Leva said that.
Leva was like, it's like you're all in on Paige, like you sort of just transferred your obsession.
Yeah.
And she was like, I think the universe put these guys in your life for some balance because they'll call you out or whatever. I saw someone on Twitter, which I don't want to like armchair diagnose, and I've always wondered what this meant, but I saw someone saying that Craig is giving dry drunk. Like, it's like when like you quit drinking, like the substance is gone, but the behavior is the same. Like that like negativity or that like sort of like lack of introspection is still there, which like kind of makes sense. Like he still has that like rage underneath that used to get so much worse when he was drinking, but it's like surprising how much it still comes up when he's sober.
Yeah, I've never heard that term before. I've never heard that. Dry drunk. You have the same stuff going on still, despite the lack of alcohol.
Yeah. And then Austin, like, he's like, I fucking love you, man. And Craig, like, doesn't, I don't know if they, like, cut around it, but it seemed like he didn't really respond very much.
He kind of just has a sheepish grin on his face as the recipient of that love. But I don't think he says, I love you
He
back.
did say, maybe I'll have a celebratory beer with you tonight after the reunion. And Madison goes, no, you have to stay and drink NA with me, like, because I can't drink.
Yeah. So she didn't want him to have that celebratory beer. Austin just wants it to go back to smiley, fun times. And then JT says, when I'm asked back for a couple more seasons, I for sure know that I can do a lot better and navigate these friendships. And then finally, we get a perfect ending to Southern Charm. Shep gives a toast. He says, we are a group of people. This is, you and I give this speech to each other all the time. Only two people, well, he says the entire group of us know what it was like to go through this experience together. The hate online, the pressure that we're all under. So I consider us all a family. We are part of this unique club, and I think that we should all have warmth towards each other for all going through this together. And it kind of makes a couple people cry. A very sweet sentiment. I really like that.
Yeah. No, it was, I just... Overall, I was like, all right, let's put a pin in this and we'll see what's next. But it was just a flop, I think. The season overall. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I agree. I mean, we've talked about it every week. I think it definitely needs no offense. I'm not saying what part of the cast needs to get
the boot.
Get the boot, but there are some things that need to happen there. It's obviously I saw this thing. Did you send me this, or the wonderful account Queens of Bravo posted this, where they said it was Rodrigo talking on a podcast, and he was like, my fiance says that why can't it be like Salt Lake City, where we like go through something and then we move on and we don't like spend a lot of time on one thing or something. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, that's the solution? Like, you want it to adopt the policies of a different show because you like what that show does? That's not how this works.
He also said that that JT was bleeding through his outfit at the reunion. Like, he still had open wounds.
And was taking a certified turtle piss in his pants.
He said he had to piss like 5 times. Queens of Bravo also thinks that Rodrigo should be an even bigger part of the show.
I've heard, I heard, and I absolutely, we talk about this every week. I love Queens of Bravo. And,
they featured your content.
Yes, that account is absolutely amazing, stunning stuff. But I will say they are a champion of almost everyone, me included. and I don't know if the future of Southern Charm needs to be what Rodrigo's fiance said, which is that it needs to act more like Salt Lake City. I think maybe there's some other stuff that could happen that would be good for Southern Charm. But I wanted to say any beautiful moments so we can end on a positive note. I want to say I did like the guys' dinner at Patricia's house where Whitney fell backwards off his chair, drunk off his ass. I thought that was a fun, a little bit of the spirit of the early days of Southern Charm. And then I couldn't really think of much else that I loved. But the Bahamas trip was okay. It was pretty good overall.
When JT raised Kane.
Yeah, when he raised Kane, but unfortunately I know what happened after he did that Kane event, so I can't like that as much. But anything else?
The Branzino.
Branzino dinner was so fun, and I'll say, I know that I like this more than you, but I really did find Southern Charm firing on all cylinders when the entire group went to Molly's tuba event, just because I know they spent a little bit of time, and on a different season they wouldn't have dedicated 15 minutes to that, but I still did like that it felt completely new in this universe for the cast to get all dressed up and support a first-time cast member for a tuba, like a orchestral event like that. It was, it felt new in a really good way. But
she posted, she was performing again recently, and if we were in Charleston, we could have gone for like $5.
Oh, I would have loved. I mean, we need to go to Charleston more and more. I mean, I don't know. We'll get there someday, don't you think? We'll take a trip.
100%.
Okay, good.
Okay, well, yeah, hopefully to brighter futures, because obviously it's historically one of the Bravo greats.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's gonna be it can be great next season.
Single Craig, that'll be fun.
Single Craig, or if he's dating Natalie Buffett or whatever. Yeah, I mean, and then maybe you. Yeah, I don't know how we're not paid to make it better. So, but you can see that it could get better. There's ways, obviously. So I'm sure that they'll figure it out. Do you want to switch to straight over to Atlanta?
Let's do it. It's
Okay.
called About Last Night. Yeah, it's pivoting straight off of the episode last week, which honestly, I was looking forward to this episode, and I think it's like interesting to chew on as far as just what happened with the show. But this episode, not to say double stinker of the shows we're talking about this week, but it's not that great of an episode.
Well, I think because it is fully riding on what happens in the last 15 minutes, which is the Kenya event. So I was almost saying, like, we can kind of gloss over what leads up to it. It's basically everybody learning what Britt said last week, which we've talked about it. She, if you didn't listen to last week's Atlanta episode where we discussed it, Britt said, I've got whips and I've got pistols, and you may like to be in this like entertainment world, but that's not the world I'm in. And Kenya heard this, and a lot of other cast members heard this, and took it as, as you'd probably take it, which is that Britt is threatening gun violence on another cast member. Is really shocking and very shocking to hear. And Kenya, I think, had the right response when it initially happened up to a point, but then this is the absolute worst thing she could have ever done in a million years. If you were writing AI, if AI said, what's the worst possible outcome for what Kenya could do with this storyline that was given to her when another cast threatens her, it makes her feel unsafe. Kenya lost almost all of her goodwill in one foul swoop. It was awful, and one of the most shocking things I've ever seen in my life. It almost was too toxic, obviously, for Bravo to even show. So is there anything you want to say up until when we get to the Kenya hair care spa? Is there anything you want to note before we get there?
Well, so the first thing we see is Shamia, Angela, and Britt getting together to talk about the night before. And they're already, you can tell, I don't know, like if the producers like primed her to be, she seemed like trying throughout the episode to make it very clear that she was apologetic, because I think she knew that she could be in like big trouble. So like she was talking to the other ladies, and the other ladies were like, you should definitely like let her know that you, apologize, or like didn't want her to feel threatened or whatever. And she's like, her attitude change felt like out of like fear.
It's obviously, it was a horrible mistake. I mean, the entire episode is her apologizing to, everyone telling her how egregiously bad that was. And then she makes the decision, for the first 20 minutes of the episode, she decides that obviously she's going to apologize to Kenya for this. She's going to get a card. She's going to get flowers, and then she is told that she should come to this event that Kenya is hosting and try to make things right here. I will say almost every feud that was going up to this point has now been canceled out by no one wants to talk about the 3 or 4 things that they were all fighting about in the early episode. So it's almost like we're starting from scratch here with only Britt and Kenya as the lingering plotline, and also Portia and Drew. Portia will not forgive Drew also for having Dennis be a part of her journey, her music career journey.
Yes. You also, I was reminded at least that Kelly and Britt kind of feel like a newbie package, where Kelly is staunchly defending Britt throughout this and saying like, that's not her character, like I've never seen her like that, like don't judge her for this or whatever. And then later you'll see like she's one of the first to react that what happens is not okay. And then underneath it all, the only new thing that's introduced is we get like Angela family drama, because it turns out that like she has an older daughter who's like beefing with her grandma, Angela's mom, and her aunt, her sister. And so it feels like they've introduced a few of the women having family issues.
Yes.
So that is something they can lean on later.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this is it. And I don't know if Little Turtle Cuties or Villa Rosa VIPs, if you didn't watch Atlanta, go to about 25 minutes in. I was really surprised by how Bravo handled this, because I felt in a way there is a little bit, which I say this now every day, now this phrase that I have in my head, which is a little bit of having their cake and eating it too. They wanted to deem this to be, despicable and vile and the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. But it had all of the trappings of an iconic setup in every way. I mean, they milked the shit out of this thing. They gave it this huge opening where it had this Kenya entrance and everything with the red carpet, and it felt like triumphant in a way. So it's kind of like, you all have leaned on this. Again, I was like, if you really thought it was the worst thing you've ever seen in your life, not to laugh, but if you thought that this was the worst thing you've ever seen in your life, you would have completely scrapped it from the edit and say Kenya got fired for a really awful thing that she did on camera. But instead, all they do, I'm stepping on it, but all they do is they don't show the one image that was way too far. So in a way, they're taking entertainment pleasure from this. That's how I felt anyway.
Totally. They give her a huge part of the episode leading up to this hair event. And I was listening to Andy recap it on his radio show to the people that were on. Like, he was telling them, if you didn't see it, this is what happened. And he and Cynthia was on Watch What Happens as well, so they talked about it there too. And in both instances, they were talking about what a big deal this was for Kenya. She's been working on this for years. There was a scene earlier where she talked about how much money she invested and what a big deal it was for her. So partially it's why did you do this to yourself? Yeah. She just, I think, thought it would be so iconic, I guess, or her rage forced her to just come back so strong. But I'm you played yourself.
No, totally. She sullied the opening of this thing that was supposed to be powerful and beautiful. This thing that she'd been working on for years. That's what Portia says. She summarizes it perfectly at the end of this episode. I do think, obviously, Kenya went into this saying that this is going to be on my highlight reel of iconic moments. I mean, everything about it, up until the photos that she chooses to use. Yeah. If that was anything else in the world, maybe just the plastic surgery that Britt had done, maybe something that was embarrassing, but the fact that revenge, can we say this word? Revenge. I don't want to say it.
On TikTok, they call it corn.
Corn. We'll say it corn. The fact that revenge corn was a part of this ruins everything, taints every aspect of all of it. It was the biggest miscalculation that Kenya could have ever done. It's the one bridge or road that no one wanted to go down her with at all. And I've never seen a reaction like this. It was just pure embarrassment and disdain and horror. And so let's get
it's actually so shocking. Like when you actually, because again, having their cake and eating it too, they of course have to blur it. They blur all of it, but they have Cynthia say, like off camera, you can hear her say, I don't want to see her sucking some guy's dick. And you're like, okay, so that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they kept it
so
in.
Like now I visualized it.
No. Yeah, no, totally. but do you agree with me that when Kenya was thinking of this, everything about it, except for that one photo, it was built up in her mind to be the most iconic read she's ever done on another cast member. She just, that one aspect of it was awful. You know,
I don't get how she didn't like think one step further that's like a bridge too far.
I'm not sure, and like.
Because the way that everyone reacts is like she didn't like run this past anyone, because everyone, it's not like they're playing off of each other and being like, oh, you're right, like we shouldn't participate in this. They're like viscerally horrified immediately and like start leaving.
This was a workshop, this one.
Yeah.
Talk to someone else, maybe Candy.
Yeah.
Maybe Candy, like, ask, do you think this will go over well? But you're right. The reaction from all the other cast members was like this was the absolute first time that they were hearing that Kenya was going to do something like this. So it's all fun at first. They give it the full edit where it's like you get to see the contest. I was like, you're showing every second of this thing. I almost was like, maybe this should have been like the premiere of Atlanta, because really nothing we've seen before this, besides getting to know the cast members, I think warrants like why we're only on the 4th episode. You know, if you would have just started with this and then filmed an extra month and then had more of Phaedra, like that would have been the most explosive premiere of all time. Instead, we kind of just get this at a random time where we lose Kenya's confessionals and all that stuff. So it's almost like it's odd to lose all of Kenya's home scenes and confessionals, but then give her the 30 minutes or 20 minutes of this entire episode that's dedicated to her.
Yeah, it is weird. I also want to shout out, I gasped when Miss Lawrence shows up, and I'm like, holy shit, I haven't thought of Miss Lawrence in so long. I miss him and Derek, who were always the hair and makeup artists on the show, and also, of course, Dwight, Nene's friend. I'm like, that's what the show's been missing. I loved them.
Yes.
So that really made my heart sing, because I was like, I haven't thought of that person in so long, and so I was really happy to see that. But yeah, it's like, also, by the way, on the way to the party, Britt reveals that her aunt died like days before. Yeah. So she's like already in a like bad place and has to grovel and come with flowers because, you know, she did something which we can get into. It's kind of like a weird conversation to have, but the internet is debating if they both should have been fired.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard. It's not something for us to, you know, litigate or think about for sure.
Because she's literally going to be on Watch What Happens Live this week. Like, not only is she not fired, but she's like doing the extracurriculars. Yeah.
So this is, I'm sure this is what Kenya is thinking about all the time now, you know, and what she's talking about, the hypocrisy or double standard of what Bravo let happen to her as a cast member versus what she did in response. I don't know what the moral barometer is for Bravo in these instances, but whatever they did behind the scenes, they decided that Britt should be allowed to continue filming. So then Britt is really going through it. I mean, of all the things for Britt to have happen, she also just has this horrible, life-shattering moment on her way that she reveals on her way to go to this event.
Yeah. So she tries to bring flowers. Kenya finally walks past her and she just ignores her completely. Like, will not make eye contact, will not like entertain a conversation at all. So she immediately is like, all right, well then I'm going to leave. That was the only reason I came here. And then as Kenya's sort of trying to clink the glass and be like, let me get everyone's attention, Britt leaves. So you can see that she's going to miss Kenya's big show, which I assume Kenya wanted her to be present for.
I think,
although I'm not sure if she knew that she was going to come at all, but it seemed built to humiliate her in person.
I am so glad that Britt decided that she should have left, because it would have been probably 10 times worse had she actually been in the room.
There probably would have been like something bad would have happened.
Yeah. Also, Kenya starts her speech because she sees Britt. So when Britt gives the flowers and the card and she completely pays her dust in this instance, that starts Kenya. She initiates her speech as a direct response to Britt. She's like, now is the time for me to walk you through what she thinks is going to be one of the most iconic moments in her history on this show. And unfortunately, she's combining it with the opening of her salon or her spa, which is
like
such a big deal.
Dedicated to her daughter.
Yes. So she says, this is a labor of love for me. I have built this for my daughter. So it's like, sweet. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, like this is why we want to be here. This is so fun. And she goes, but then I get people that are trying to bring me down for no reason. And I'm sick of it. And I have to say, like, I know what Britt said and I know it's bad, but also because it just came out of nowhere and their feud escalated, Kenya's response seems like the wrath of God to, I didn't get even acclimated to Britt and Kenya having a feud yet for Kenya to rain down hell upon her, even no matter what she did. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a properly paced feud at all. But then she goes, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, she's like, yeah, and there's somebody here that brought me these fake-ass flowers. And she's like, somebody get rid of those. I don't want these. Get them out of here. And Kelly runs over to the, like, security guard who's throwing them away and is like, let me at least keep the card. Like, I'm going to take the card. Like, she should read it or whatever. And she goes, burn the card. She goes, stay out of this.
Yeah, Kelly, stay out of it. Burn that card right now. I really hope someone has posted what that card was. I would love to read what that was. And then she goes, and Kenya goes, but it escalated because I was paying her dust, which is true. That is what happened to Britt. Britt felt extremely disrespected. We talked about this. Having an OG who has come for people in the past, Britt thought she was the recipient of the worst shade of her life, and Kenya then did the worst thing in the world, which is that didn't even pay her any attention at all. So that sent her spiral.
Is that what paying someone dust means?
Yeah, pay them no attention at all. And
she blew the dust into her face.
She goes, I am that bitch. I've been that bitch, and I'm still that bitch, and I am going to pay you dust. And then the editors, I swear, they're like building this up so it could be the most iconic Kenya moment in the world just for them to let it fall on its face. They even chop it up so that the I am that bitch, been that bitch, still that bitch is like perfectly. Yeah. And then a slow-mo of her blowing the dust. I was like, this is so all of the hallmarks of the most iconic thing I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean?
And then it takes such a brutal, immediate turn where she goes, and then she talked about having a gun. And you're like, oh no.
Shamia goes, oh no. Like it came out of nowhere. And imagine
the crowd is like,
could you imagine if you and I had been recapping Atlanta? No, I would have stayed. If we were recapping Atlanta for 6 years on Turtle Time and you and I had gotten invited to this event, imagine what the audience was thinking. Like
live coverage.
Yeah. So she goes, she was talking about a gun. She was saying that you don't know who I am. And so she's right. I don't know who she is. So I did some research. I mean, I'm not defending Kenya, but she had this speech written down perfectly. She got to the point where she could segue into how she dug up the dirt on her by the private investigator so she could get to know who she was. And then this is when, like you said, she brings out these huge poster boards.
She went to Kinko's.
Yeah, and each
spent
one
like $400.
Each one is worse and worse. She goes, I hired a private investigator, and first of all, who the hell is this? Do these photos look anything like each other? She goes, I see fake nose, I see lips.
She's like, it's giving hee-hee.
I see veneers. It's giving hee-hee over here. And people go, oh, okay, well, this is bad. This isn't very fun.
Kelly's like, she needs to pipe down. Like, she's already like, this is not cool. She says that, this is her words, she used to be a video hoe. Yeah. Where she says, meanwhile, I was a leading lady making stacks to be in entertainment, which Britt already told us like last week, I think, that she was a video vixen. So we already knew that. She already owned that.
But Kenya has to address in real time. She's like, hey, wait, no, but I was the leading person in all of these music videos. Like, she has to establish that it's different than what Britt did.
Yeah, I'm like Kenya Moore's renowned acting career. Anyways, Kelly is already like, I'm out of here. Like, fuck this. So she meets Britt out front. And then when Kenya whips out that third and final poster board, it goes, due to the graphic nature of these photos, Bravo has chosen not to exhibit them.
Yeah.
And then everyone freaks out. You hear everyone go like, oh, ah! And Cynthia tells us that there is fellatio happening.
Yeah, that's when Cynthia says it. If you watch, I watched Portia's reaction. I have never seen a reaction like this on Portia.
Like SMH.
She is so disappointed in Kenya. Like, she has no expression at all. You can tell, just like she later says, like, she wants to be absolutely no part of this thing that Kenya did. It's a shocking reaction from everyone.
They're all like disgusted. They're grossed out. Shamia goes, she almost like sort of leans in, like, put it down, like, stop. And she goes, that's too much. And she goes, she threatened me with a gun. Don't tell me it's too much. And everyone's just like, ugh. Portia leaves, Shamia leaves, Angela leaves. Like, they're all like, this gotta go. And you could hear Kenya in the background saying that she says that Britt tried to take food out of her daughter's mouth. And I'm like, what? This is like one of our biggest sticking points of like housewives tropes. And I'm like, literally, what the fuck does that mean? What do you mean?
Does she mean if Kenya...
Like, if she killed her?
Yes, you'd be taking food out of your daughter's mouth. Yes, I mean, obviously. But yeah, for that, you could tell that Kenya knew that this was flopping hard so badly in the moment that she had to bring one of the worst excuses you can ever use for why, when someone disrespects you, is to say that they are taking food out of your child's mouth. So she says that this did not go at all how Kenya wanted. Everyone leaves. I mean, it's like everyone walks out at the same time. Like, Kenya is left with Drew and like two friends after this.
Yeah, they're all just like, no. Cynthia in her confessional says, what's lower than hell? Because that's where we're at. Angela feels bad because she's the one that told Britt she should come, show support. And then there's kind of a cool, like, real moment where Cynthia goes, Kenya, I think you're better than this. Like, that was not good. But congratulations, I'll call you later. But, like, that was not cool.
Yeah. And Portia is standing outside, and she goes, this is over. She goes, I think we need to wrap filming right now. Like, I don't even want you filming me right now. Take my mic off. Portia wants nothing. She said she was absolutely mortified by this, and she wants to be edited out of this event. She doesn't even want to be included in the edit. And it's like, it is so bad.
Flop City.
A 0 out of 10. No one supports you. No one likes you. And then it's kind of embarrassing at the end. Kenya is still, when Cynthia's like, you're better than this, Kenya goes, I am. I know I am. But it's like, oh my God, like, you don't know. You're still trying to stand triumphant that you did something iconic here. And it was the biggest, one of the biggest flops in history. And awful.
It ends with another message saying, based on Kenya's behavior, the decision was made to cease filming with her. And I do wonder if it had partially to do with the cast being like, fuck that, like, that was awful. She ruined the integrity of the show. Although Cynthia was saying, obviously she's more friend of this year, but she was saying that she hasn't talked to her since. She tried to reach out, but she hasn't heard from her.
Whoa.
And that they were all super disappointed that it was funny because she was talking to Andy, who clearly like has to do with these decisions, but he didn't really obviously get into it. But she's like, you guys spent so much time thinking about how to reinvent this cast, and she was obviously such a big part of it, and then it was just cut out. So we lost all of her funny interviews, like all of the shade that she normally does. Like she was like, it hurts the show to cut her out when that was planned. Like, it's a loss because they were accounting for her being part of it, and so they just have to move forward with a big chunk of what they calculated for the season is gone.
This season is marred by the decision that Kenya made completely. And then we know that once she's gone, they had to replace her with Phaedra, get another established OG in there to make their dreams come true of what they initially wanted.
I wonder if they had to pay Phaedra a pretty penny because they're like, just get in here. Like, can you be here like tomorrow?
Probably. I mean, quite possibly. Yeah. So it was. Everyone should watch it. It was. I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, it depends on, I guess, if you're okay with the the sort of toxic nature of it. But
Yeah.
it was worse than I imagined.
Yeah.
It was very, very bad, and it's interesting to watch the real-time reaction to everyone who was involved with this because they've never seen anything like it.
Come to think of it, where did she go that would print that?
I am not sure. That's a great
Like
question.
FedEx?
Maybe if you go to FedEx and you say, I'm only printing this blank side of the piece of paper, and they go, oh great, of course you can print a blank piece of paper, and then she really quickly flipped it over to what she saw. You know what I mean? When the
Maybe
the
she did it herself at like the large scale printer. She brought her like laptop in her little flash drive and just was standing there printing it out.
If we have that upcoming interview with Kenya, so we can ask her how she did that.
Oh yeah, you're like, you're still welcome here, Kenya.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I feel like it's because of the part of it, like, okay, what Britt did was fucked, and
yes,
if she did get fired for that, especially because she's so new, where I'd be like, I mean, you did something pretty bad pretty quick.
Right.
So if they did, if she did get a slap on the wrist or even just fully removed for that, I'd be like, damn, okay. But I think Kenya's, because the offense was like on camera, like what Britt said was on camera, but it was a verbal threat, not like a physical, like no action was actually taken, I assume is where they landed on it.
Yeah. No, I know. Like we're trying to think about like the judgment that was laid on this situation, and I think that Britt, you know, you could really make the case that in a kind of a fit of anger and rage, and also the fact that she is not so used to this and being in that environment. When she did talk to producers, she just said, I swear I do not even know what I was talking about. I was so disrespected and upset and hurt, and I just resorted to saying like a bunch of like just garbage that I would never ever in a million years enact on, and I'm so sorry. Versus when what Kenya did was reviled by everyone. Like you said, it's on camera. It has the perfect explanation of what it is, which is revenge corn.
Yeah.
And, you know, and to paint it as that, it's just everyone finds that despicable. Where if you were asking that entire cast, and maybe they do ask the cast to weigh in on this, and everyone says, I've said very, very stupid stuff when I was off mic or getting my mic off or whatever, and I do not think that reflects Britt's true character. But now Kenya is going to talk about the hypocrisy of this forever, and she might have a right to. She might have a right to talk about the double standard here. But if the cast and the producers all determine that what Britt did was just a one-off flare-up, and what Kenya did was calculated and abhorrent, then you can see why that judgment went where it did. And I'm sorry to say that, you know, for Kenya heads, because I know, like, I know there are people that are talking about the hypocrisy of this, you know, and they will for weeks.
Kenya called into question why Sandoval wasn't fired, because there was revenge footage in play with the Scandoval, although, of course, that was not on camera, you know, and so that felt more complicated, but, you know, I'm sure Bravo was tripping about that too. And it's obviously a super legally and like ethically touchy area, especially for them right now when they're being audited across the board about whether any of this content should even exist morally.
Yeah. I'll say one last thing to make this controversial. Do you think Kenya is like beyond redemption?
Never say never. I mean, it's just hard because I haven't seen if she's gone scorched earth. She's posting the Justice for Kenya shit, but
I really don't want her to. I don't. When they put that thing on the disclaimer, they said for this season, and they're not saying Kenya is fired permanently from the universe. So I really think before Kenya says all of everything and tries to burn all of these bridges, I think that there's some accountability that could still happen here. I mean, it's obviously it's up to Britt in a way.
Did she apologize?
I don't think so.
She didn't even apologize.
I don't know. Let me look that up before I say that.
Yeah.
But I don't. I've only seen, because I've been following Kenya, I've only seen the reaction to the double standard. I have not seen, but I'm sure. I'm sure maybe there has been an apology. I don't want to say that Kenya hasn't apologized.
I just looked it up really quick, and the headline is that she said, "I am sorry for what I've done. I didn't have to take it that far."
Oh, good.
And that was
good
in November.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what Bravo. I don't know what the final verdict is going to be on this. But they didn't specifically say she's fired for the rest of all time. I just think that after that, it was too much for the cast to get over in real time, and they didn't want to deal with it. So. Yeah, we'll see.
I do not envy those on-the-ground producers. They're just like, fuck.
Seriously? Oh, my God.
Although I have to think that they maybe knew about that she was going to do it, and they let her do it.
I know, because it's like, how in the vault could you have kept those billboards where no one could even sneak a peek at those images? Like, she carried them into the spa, no one saw.
Or maybe she winked, like, I have a little something. Because again, if it was just the first two, it would have been shady, but that's about it. But then she was like, but guess what?
What if she had,
it was like crime scene photos.
Yeah, totally. What if she had in the moment been like, I'm not even showing the third billboard. I can't. I just realized that I don't.
3 billboards outside Kenya's salon.
Oh my God.
There's our meme for the day.
Oh, everyone will love that. But yeah, if she had just said, I don't want my spa to have that moment, and I'm going to leave this here and let the theater of the mind take over, but that's not what Kenya did.
Yeah, she freaking blew it. She got too excited about being back.
Yeah, she did. I think she really did. But anyway, that was it. That was the recap of Southern Charm in Atlanta. We will no longer be talking about Southern Charm for a while. We got a break, but we're still in the thick of Atlanta. We'll see. I mean, this is going to be a huge deal for the rest of the season. So stick with us. And then I don't know if it's next week. Is it next week that we get to start talking about the wonderful premiere of The Valley?
It is.
Oh, wow. I cannot wait. So stick it out with Turtle Time. We are coming back with Valley, with Summer House. You're going to have the time of your life listening to this podcast still, I think. Yeah.
I also wanted to do a medical PSA. I've been very, awoken by Teddy Mellencamp's journey. And I just have to say, I went to the dermatologist. I had a little freckle mole on my face that turned out to be precancerous. And so actually the blur on this camera is so good you can barely see it. But I have a Band-Aid on. It's all good. But I'm just saying, if you're on the fence about any freck on your body, just go. It takes 5 minutes. They numb you. It's all good. I needed that push from seeing Teddy's horror story. So I'm going to push you. If there's something weird on your face or your arm or wherever, your butt, your boob,
your butt.
Go have somebody look at it.
Yeah. I got a physical the other week too, and my doctor said, "Do you want me to search all your freckles to see if anything's going on?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I'm already here." He looked all over my body, and he didn't find one that was
nooks and crannies.
Yeah, but no, seriously, that's nice. That's a very good thing, and we want to say a huge Turtle Time, good vibes and prayers to Teddy Mellencamp. I saw that there was like a little bit of good news on her end, but obviously she's going through the worst time of anyone's life ever in the world. And Turtle Time sends all of the hope and goodwill that we can to Teddy as she's going through this. Yeah. So take care of yourself, get your shit checked. And then, I don't know, like we always say, join us on Patreon. Please, come on. I think our episode on Monday's episode was kind of fun. We are talking about, where are we at? Oh, I'm going to tease the shit out of this. We are talking about when Jax gets the phone call of a lifetime where someone offers Jax a job to start doing social media / marketing / client relations for a hockey team, and it's going to possibly change Jax's life. Will he move to Tampa, Florida to take this job? We don't know, but we are there on Patreon, so join us for $5 a month. And then if you also enjoy Turtle Time, please, why not go over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube and give us a little comment or a thumbs up. Give us a little boost, Amy and I. Let us know that you're watching. Every YouTube comment that comes in, every Villa Rosa VIP comment, Amy and I think about it, love it, and it makes our day every single time. So, yeah, please do stuff like that.
Yes. For now, there are no tariffs for the airwaves. So if you're international, you can enjoy this American content for the same price as everyone else.
So are you saying tariffs have not affected this content at all yet? So international Little Turtle Cuties still can get this for the same cost.
Yeah, maybe you do the annual Patreon now before any further shit happens.
Yes. Take advantage now and get that locked in beautiful price of $5 a month for Patreon. You can't go wrong. 100 episodes are available. Join Amy and I on that journey. Well, I'm going to bid you all adieu. I hope you have a wonderful...
Download our eps for the bunker.
Yes. Oh my gosh, please. If for some reason there is that sort of nightmarish apocalyptic scenario, make sure to download all of our podcasts. You're going to want something to listen to. And
for when you sit with your gold coins.
Oh, those gold coins are going to hit so hard in that scenario. Could you imagine? Yeah, I mean, you'll just be like, I'm going to use these gold coins to buy stuff, right?
Trade podcast ups.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, good. Well, we'll leave you, and then we will have an episode on Thursday where we will be talking about Summer House, and then, the final Beverly Hills?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yep. Thank God.
Good riddance to all this shit. We need a new era.
We really do. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.